Today I want to talk about Crystallis, but before I begin my usual review, I wanted to share a personal story about how I came to discover my favorite action RPG for the NES. It was the summer between 4th and 5th grade. My family had recently moved to a new house just before the end of the school year. I hadn't made any real friends yet. One day, I was outside wandering around aimlessly and unattended, like children often do, when I met another girl about a year or two younger than myself. I wish I could say that I remember her name, but nope, I don't. At that moment, we were fast friends, and she invited me to play at her house. The top portion of an old Florida cracker home, now converted into a split-story duplex. The exterior of the house was in sad disrepair, and the inside sparsely furnished. In the bedroom, the girl's little brother was playing NES, and, of course, being the huge dork that I am, I was immediately drawn to the lone cartridge sitting on the dresser. The cover depicted a warrior dude battling some freaky eyeball monster, so of course, I scooped it up and blurted out something to the effect of, "Oh my god, is this an RPG?" And my new friend kinda looked at me funny, and it was pretty clear she had no idea what I was talking about. So we kicked her brother off his game, and she let me try it out. I was enthralled. My little purple hero was running around a field and power-shotting goofy-looking alien things with his magical laser sword. My new friend was less than enthusiastic, however, and not so patiently suggested we do anything else. But I wasn't having it. I was getting my RPG geek on right then and there. Finally, in a desperate effort to shut me up about how amazing my new discovery was and get me off her game system, she told me I could have the stupid cartridge and go home. So I did, and I spent the rest of the summer beating the best NES RPG in existence. And my new friend? I never saw her again. So to you, nameless 9-year-old girl, I thank you, and apologize for being such an awkward gaming nerd? I never played Crystalis after that summer, but harbored many fond memories of my initial encounter. I'd always kind of thought of it as a 16-bit adventure on an 8-bit machine. So with the not-so-gentle urging of an enthused viewer, I thought, yeah, I'd like to try that again. I spent the last week seeing how well my memories held up, and they did. Crystallis is every bit the fantastic odyssey that I remembered, and now I want to share that with you. At this point in the video, I've already established that Crystallis is an action RPG for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and despite that glowy sword with the long-range pimp slap, it's not a Zelda clone. Sorry, pedantic nerds, but if I can't casually refer to Zelda as an RPG, then you can't claim my experience-based action RPGs as your own. Them's the rules. Or so I hear. One of the things that I really love about Crystallis is it feels like the adventure takes place in its own unique universe. The story goes that atomic warfare has destroyed civilization as we know it and has essentially erased thousands of years of technological advancement. Through rigorous training, magic is now a thing, and mutants roam the landscape, mostly being vicious mutant jerkwads. Animals have attained sentience, and a society of recluse mutant dwarves live in a toxic jungle. You, a cryogenically thawed time traveler, have arrived from the past to kick butt and forget names. Throughout your adventure, you're just as likely to battle hideous eyeball spiders as you are upright walking pigmen, mechanoid robots, and tiger people. Crystallis is just different, and I love that. But it wouldn't matter how contained the world was if it weren't fun. But luckily, Crystallis has that covered as well. Combat is really fluid. You'll easily slip between enemies and, with enough skill, dispatch your foes in a burst of furious stabbings. But if you're having a hard time getting the timing down, you could just as easily rely on the satisfying oomph of the much slower paced power shots and magical attacks. Whatever your playstyle, the game mechanics are just fun to use, especially that ultimate lightning attack and endgame level flight spell. Who needs not-so-hidden bridges when you can hopscotch your way through the dungeon? My god, I love being an overpowered badass. And again, because it's definitely not a Zelda clone, there aren't any puzzles to solve, but the game does have a ton of important items to find, and nearly every spell you unlock doubles as both a story device and useful battle ability. For example, you'll learn the spell Paralyze, which you can use to stun monsters and NPCs. Besides being sort of amusing, why would you want to run around putting villagers to sleep? Well, at some point in the adventure you might need to, I don't know, track down a special someone who won't stay put otherwise? A lot of RPGs fall into the trap of padding the storyline with busy work fetch quests. I'm looking at you, Lufia. And while Crystallis is no exception, it instead turns the fetch into an attraction by ensuring that each is a unique experience. You never just go and get the bauble. You'll have to have a sex change or ride a dolphin or well, you get the idea. Then there's the boss encounters, which change up the not Zelda gameplay for more of a duck and deflect shooter experience. They're a welcome change of pace and somewhat of a challenge. While dying is a huge pain in the ass when you have to re-spelunk a convoluted and twisty maze, at least the game does you the courtesy of letting you continue directly from the dungeon entrance, which, okay, granted, is a little Zelda-like. And for that added bit of strategy, you'll find that most monsters in the game, including bosses, have a specific weapon immunity. Don't expect to unlock a new sword and use it. Instead, the game will force you to swap around your arsenal, sometimes as often as every other foe vanquished. I suppose some players may be turned off by this feature, but by the time you reach the second town, pulling up the menu and adjusting your gear really becomes second nature. I only wish SNK had consistently matched the monster sprite color to its elemental type. Having red baddies shrug off my water attacks just feels wrong. I'm not saying that Crystallis is universally the best RPG for the NES, but you're gonna have a heck of a time trying to convince me otherwise. With its large expressive character sprites, colorfully varied dungeon themes, and fluid combat mechanics, Crystallis was truly an adventure ahead of its time.